Okay, cool. So I think it's interesting to get kind of the investor side of it first. And if we were to go 2 years back, they would be in a way selling themselves, being the most founder friendly, having the best perks, having no terms at all for the money that they would throw at you. That was kind of the climate that the international VC scene and investor scene was in 2 to 3 years ago. And I think your experience over the last 2 years, or at least kind of 1.5 years, hasn't been fully that way. I'm a founder as well. For me, it has not been that way. So I'm very curious to hear, because as I said, I think all good founders, you're representatives of great founders with success in the scale-up kind of stage in Norway. And the narrative outwards, whenever somebody asks me about Mesh, how's it going? Oh, it's great. We have these great projects coming. We're doing that, and we're doing that, and we're expanding to there, and it's so much fun. You should join us. We all do that, right? Let's be honest about that. And then when we sit down without cameras and 200 people, we talk about, oh, shit, that investor was shit. That round was super hard, and I had to do this and that, and back home with the kids, and la, 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 la. So I would like to get a little bit more kind of the kind of deeper story on how the last year plus has been. And then we'll end up with you who are in this interesting position where your startup is kind of in a good position maybe for the changes that we're in. But Jeanette, I know you are, in my opinion, one of the most persistent founders, which is in startup world a very kind of high trait to have. I've known you for, I don't know, 12, 13 years, and you've been hardcore at it through ups and downs for that period. So you've been through the highs and lows, and you managed to raise, you managed to expand, you managed to change your company within all those times. So you have a lot of experience to draw on, and you've managed to get through it until now. And you had you closed the round in December last year. So how was that round compared to kind of say more hype years or good time years?
Yeah.
Can
you hear me? Okay, I have. Can you hear me again? No.
I think you have a mug actually.
It doesn't work. I think it does work. Okay. Because it fell on the floor. Sorry about that. Yeah, talking about underdog. There's a few things. I'm in black and white there, by the way. That's I'm the only girl. But there's a few founders here. They're female, which is great. That's also an underdog. Second thing being an underdog is try to do consumer in the Norwegian market. No one of the ventures are interested. So we really have to find investors from different places, which has been difficult from the beginning. But thank you for that compliment, Anders. I have to brag a little bit because we were sitting in the beginning here with Kahoot on one side, Unicast on the other side, douchebags on the third side, and everyone's like rocketing. And we were like, we're here, we're taking it a little bit slow, but we're coming.
And you had the typical super ambitious startup idea, right?
Exactly. We were as ambitious.
Instagram, shop, boom.
Let's do the Instagrammable shoppable. Yeah, it was a big, hairy goal. But it took a few years. We got out of Telenor because Telenor was their owner, and we started in 2018. Actually, it happened here, and because of Anders, and with the marketer, we had Andreas over here, who's with me, who's still in Villoid. But it was really like an underdog moment when we started because we had to hustle to find the money somewhere. B2C is not something that the Norwegian investor market are interested in. Are you agreeing a little bit? Apart from maybe douchebags now DB, which is a brand, which is different. But the great news right now is that we closed the capital round in December, which was very tough, and I will get back to that. And we also found other financing opportunities, amongst them from some Antler companies. Trond, are you still here? He's a big fan of, he's Mr. Antler as well. And we've been able to now close a funding round that will take us to 1 billion Norwegian kroners without getting additional capital. And we are super excited and super proud. And in December...
A little clap for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think we have our CFO here as well, Peder over here. who's the CFO and who's been extremely great at managing this cash flow, because it's a cash flow game.
And now you know the expectation. No more money before you reach 1 billion in revenue.
And one of our investors are here, and I remember when we tried to get him on board, and Bjarne, where are you, Bjarne? He said to me, but this is a cash flow game. And that kind of, in the middle of the night in December also, Bjarne told me this was a cash flow game. But then we finally managed to close it. It was all about, when are you guys profitable? Turn it around.
Yeah, so that was the new thing. When are you
that was a
profitable?
new thing.
What are your numbers?
It was no more like the growth is fantastic, the market is 0, we're growing at 100%, that's great. We're going to take that position, because in Norway, 50% of the retail market when it comes to e-commerce goes abroad, because the Norwegian retail market has been sovet i timen, as we say, has been a little bit like not following that. Are we having a applause over here? That's good.
So you had to hustle. You had to use those skills that you have, and you're very good at that. So when you hustled, what was it that you did? How did the market change? What was the strategy that you chose to follow now?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we have done in the beginning, and we're a team, and I think the culture of the company is to understand that the market conditions will always change, and money has it's never been an easy task to get money for a B2C company. So for me, it's been extremely important to have a plan B at any time, at every time. So what we eventually convinced our investors about is that our data and insights will make us extremely profitable, extremely fast, if that's what you want. And we just released our first 6 months report, and we went from growing 90% with a little bit of loss to turn it around and still growing almost 65%, but now we have profitable numbers, which is due to the tech. So I think what we learned from that was to try to convince the investors that we are ready to change. We can go from taking that position to show you profitable numbers and convince them that that was believable. Which
you
is very good.
You had to go from potential to more conservative, rational, positive numbers and prove yourself.
Exactly.
But you managed to do that, and that was the strategy that you chose to follow.
We had to really change, because we wanted to take the position, because we know that the EBIT will be 10% when we reach our positions. Because why should a retailer in Germany or in China own the Norwegian market digitally? It doesn't make any sense to us. But so we just wanted to be big enough to have good enough contracts and conditions with our retailers, so we were able to be profitable. But we weren't able to think about, like, we should be profitable now. We just were focused on getting to that position. But all of a sudden in December we realized we have to show them that we are profitable now. And that's changed for everyone that I've spoken to, and it happened really quickly. And it's a little bit different in a retail business, because you then have a little bit of a longer way of changing. But we did it, and we're really proud about it.
Well done. You should be. I want to get Tuk in as well, because you're talking about kind of B2C. That has not traditionally been one of the kind of most popular spaces in Norway. One of the most popular spaces, if you only go 1 or 2 years back, was definitely crypto. I had my 2 cousins. One is a radio guy, another works within art, and they were buying crypto like crazy and talking about all these insane projects that were going to make them super rich so they can retire within a couple of years. That was the Christmas 2 years ago. We also had a tech town hall only kind of a year or 2 ago, where everything was booming. So you were in the kind of AI of 2021 space, and it was booming, and it has the potential that is kind of at a very, 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 very high level. So I think it is kind of especially interesting to hear from the sectors that were the most kind of that had the most momentum, how it has been to go from that, because you must have then gotten kind of into a mindset where Dune raised 1 billion kroner almost with 19 people, and you had those Instagram stories that everybody were laughing at 5 years ago internationally. You started getting that in Norway within that space, and you were one of the, and you are one of the kind of the best founders within that space with one of the kind of most important companies. So take us a little bit through how your last 2 years have been.
Does this microphone work?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. So how say? The last 2 years has been quite a roller coaster, I guess.
Yeah.
Having kids, I now have 3 kids. I started this company with 0 kids.
That's actually a topic for one of these tech town halls. How to run and operate companies with small kids. A lot of us have that problem, me included. Yeah.
So it's been fun, really. But going into like how we became like a company, we really struggled getting started, like getting bootstrapped for a couple of years. We joined the factory. I think Ingar was here, but I think he had to go. But going into that program made me understand that being a good developer doesn't help anything if you can't sell. Because that's my background. I build stuff. I don't really sell stuff. I thought that technology could sell itself, but it didn't. So when we, for the first time, changed our, go-to-market strategy, it really started working. Like, how can we sell a product without any knowledge of marketing? And when we began, I think it was that was like even in 2019, I think, and everybody in the company was working full time as a consultants, and then we worked full time on this, and it was no income. I think we're at like 1,000 kroners in 2019 or something. But this was really fun.
A good point to start from to get
Yeah.
10,000% growth.
Yeah,
But,
of course. It's all about the numbers,
Yeah.
the percentages. But going from there, I think one of the things that is the most important, I guess, in our history is we have faced, I think, like 1 billion times this fight or flight situations. You either stand there and you fight it, or you can run and do something else.
Okay, please build on that. So you started with kind of, you went to factory. That kind of made you go a little bit from being kind of just a developer to understanding the marketing and sales game.
Yeah.
And then you were in these fight or flight moments. And you started when the kind of startup ecosystem was maturing a little bit more. But the founder still and the kind of the team ends up with having to solve the problems. But how did you kind of use your investors? Did you have a group of people around you that you could use to figure out what to do, or were you lying awake, sweating, trying to come up with some crazy plan?
No,
at
I
several points?
I sleep really well.
You sleep well. Well, that's
Well,
good.
except for last year. But for my own sake, I think the first thing was, should I keep doing this and hope that the revenue keeps up, or should I just do what I do best, is do consultancy?
Yeah.
Because the team, they were just following me,
So,
basically.
yeah, so the risk aversion started kicking in a little bit when it got very
It
hard.
began with my wife saying, "Are you sure you want to stay awake every night
Yeah.
and work on this instead of sleeping?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, it's fun." So she let me do it. So I just kept doing it. But when we started deciding, okay, we should do something more than just like having fun, build cool stuff, and see nobody use it. That's when it really started, right? So we began to, okay, how do you think this area is going to develop here in Norway? It was no regulation. The FSA hadn't heard about crypto, I guess. When we knocked on the door, they said, "Crypto? Oh, no crypto. You don't need anything. just go along." So we just did it, and suddenly they wanted everybody to do some sort of registration. And then when we showed up, we thought we could just send in like a one-pager Google Doc saying, "Hi, we want the registration. Please give it to us." And then we just like a case worker saying, "This is probably one of the thinnest piece of paper I've ever seen. I need to know more. How do you do risk? Like, risk? What risk? It's transparent. It's on the blockchain. There's no risk." And that's the second thing. What do I do now? I know nothing about regulation. I know nothing about legal. So that's when we just started reaching out. What do we do now? So we just had to start reading.
Yeah.
How do banks do it? I do tech, so I just began to read about risk engines.
Yeah.
How do you build a risk engine?
Yeah.
Okay, what factor do you need to know and decide what to look at? And that's when it started. Now we built like a risk engine, taking in like 70 factors on our users in real time. We do calculation in real time. Every click on our platform will give you an exact risk score, both everything happens on Firi and everything you also do on all addresses related to you on the blockchain.
Yeah.
So if you do something on Firi, it's fine. You send something to dark markets, you'll be tagged instantly. So you can't do anything more. And that's how it started. When we did that, we went back to the FSA, they gave us our registration. Suddenly, somehow, customers found us. I guess Bitcoin was cool again after the dump in 2018. It started, building up. We started to focus more. We somehow found that Vips were going to release like Vips login. COVID happened. We doubled down. We worked at home. Suddenly, work wasn't work anymore. It was just free time, I guess. And then when we really focused, the momentum picked up. And then we said, it has to be some sort of capital out there. I can't keep funding this all by myself or the rest of us. So we had to find a plan how we actually were going to scale this. And then one on our team, he knew some people at, I think, Catapult.
Yeah, I just want to just because I've managed a little bit, so we used a little bit long time.
Yeah. Sorry.
Because what happened was that you got a lot of momentum, you got a lot of great investors. You were your evaluation rose to $1 billion-ish or more, right?
Yeah, very close.
Yeah, so you were in that kind of that segment, and then kind of the situation we are in right now, as so many of us in the kind of founder community, you've had to adjust to a new reality where it's not the kind of shiny new thing. And there's not the hype that everybody wants to get in on. So the concrete question is, how did you change the strategy to cope with kind of a down route, motivating the team, and getting to the next stage when that reality hit?
True transparency, like opening up everything. The books, all internal meetings, all meetings in leadership. They knew everything. Town hall meetings every Friday. They had reports on everything we did. Okay, but then it's a little bit to what Jeanette said. The actual quality of the company was what made it possible to raise money, and you couldn't raise on the hype or potential. You had to raise on the actual numbers. So a full transparency, due deal on the details is what kind of got you through that period, and that was the strategy. I guess that's a good strategy. I think one piece of advice I got from, I think it was Tellef Torleifsson 10, 12 years ago, was that the best way to get a lot of funding is to build a great company. So I was like, oh, shit, that's a good idea. Okay, Gratle, you're in an interesting position. And I want to kind of round off with you, and then kind of you can also have kind of one piece of advice for the founders here. How has this last period been for you? Because you represent a new funding opportunity, perhaps, for a lot of the people here. And you've also tried to build a company that has built on the potential, and now you have to build on the kind of results as everybody else. But give us a little bit, I just think it's interesting with you being a kind of a mix of the kind of funder and founder perspective here.
Sure. So for all of you who don't know, Funding Partner is a crowd lending platform. So right now we're the biggest crowdfunding platform in the Nordics. Q2, we took that scalp, so that was kind of cool. And both of these companies, actually, Firi and Villoid, has both used crowdfunding. So in the last couple of years, crowdfunding has gone from 0 in 2018, I think, in Norway, to now being like a couple of billions NOK in terms of crowdfunding market. So it actually is a source of funding. And what you've kind of seen the last couple of years is that more and more people look to it, and since the capital market that has been thoroughly discussed today has gotten tougher and tougher, that basically means that more and more people look into crowdfunding as an option. So as both crypto has experienced, as crowdfunding is experiencing, is that we all become more and more known, we've seen as more professional and kind of more serious. Even the FSA, Finanstilsynet, is considering us more and more professional. So I think all of this is just making the ecosystem better and more as an option for everybody. And the quality of everybody on the platforms right now is X times better than those who came out in 2018 and 19. So basically, the quality is just improving, and I think it makes the whole ecosystem better. So I guess that's one positive note that I think is that there's definitely capital out there. All the people on the board here earlier today have a lot of money still, so they're willing to invest if they find good companies. And we still haven't put out a single case on our platform that we haven't been able to fill. So basically, funding is out there, but it's more expensive and it's tougher, and you need to have an even better quality or a better company. So if you build a great company, there's definitely capital out there. So if I'm going to give an...
Yeah, I think that's actually a very kind of, in a way, a good closing note. That things have changed. You need to kind of prove your quality. You need to hustle. And there are other alternatives that needs to be explored. It's not just the VC route with proving your potential. There are other things. And we are in a maturing market, even though we're in a kind of downturn of it. So there are opportunities. I think that was a little bit of the sunlight that we wanted at the end. What you call it? Noens død er en annens brød. You're gonna be the next unicorn from this batch, perhaps. I think I want to say thank you very much to you. And thank you very much to the whole panel and the Hall of Famers that contributed.